Hello, architects, and welcome to another monthly update. This is April, and instead of kind of doing what I had intended on, I took some time to run through the backlog of all the feature requests we had. We had roughly, I think, 81 different feature requests that were put into Discord, and then I end up, as of the 19th of this month, we have roughly 49 left. So whatever the math is on that, it's close to half of them knocked out. With that, there have also been a number of updates, just in general related to the overall roadmap for 1.0, and trying to knock out some of those things and just get things working a little nicer. So with that, this video will be composed of several different segments, likely over the course of the next week and a half or so. And I just want to highlight the things that have been done, and the rest will get spliced in by Bert, by editor Bert. Thanks, buddy. High five. All right, with that, let's begin. Our first update revolves around loading screens. So this came about because we were working on a 3D project, and it took a long time to load the scenes, right? So a lot of 3D stuff, a lot of time to load. So it was taking roughly 10-20 seconds, but you wouldn't know that. So loading screens got some priority and got done. You'll see that at the moment you can actually override your loading screen here. You can set it on the map, or you can set it inside your map configuration right up here. Yeah. So anytime it's loading, something takes a while to load, that runs. Most cases, your screens are going to be pretty quick, so you probably won't have to worry about it in most cases. It's going to load in the background, and it's the second that the engine itself is loading or trying to get into a loaded state, it'll load the loading screen. Wow, not repeating myself here. It'll be loading that loading screen as soon as possible and running through it. And it's a standard user interface, so you can go through and adjust it so that you can have all sorts of things like loading images and sprites that are going to vary and change, some text on it, what have you. It's a very standard loading screen. The next thing I'd like to highlight is being able to copy, paste, and cut and delete your entity local data. So you'll see here now, I've got some data here. If I right click, I can delete it. Oof, everything's gone. Or I had previously copied it, I can paste it. Pretty cool. Just to prove I'm not full of malarkey. Close enough. I'll copy this. Go to this other entity. And paste it over. I've got my Morsky. Close enough. So that should work, just as it is. I hope that's useful for some folks copying back and forth. Another update for this month has been moving things into asynchronous patterns. So as most people know, there is no such thing as a parallel process like what is common in RPG Maker and RPGArchitect. Everything is automatic. Whether or not it blocks controls or stops other things from happening, that's something else you have to configure and set up yourself. But that said, there are several commands right now that previously you had to wait for a while for it to be completed, right? So say we wanted to move the camera around, right? There's a new configuration on many of these commands that says run asynchronously. What that means is that it's going to throw it in the background and it will continue doing what it's doing, and it'll continue on to the next script command thereafter. I think there are something like 7 or 8 commands that ended up having this. And this is a preview for what's coming next. One of the next pieces that got updated is you can now access doodads. You can see that here. Previously it was only party, entity, self, and by unique ID. Doodad is now included in that. You can go ahead and hit those constructs now. You can select it from inside the game in a very similar way that you would an entity. Okay, yeah, I didn't name mine particularly well, sorry. But this, at least you get the name. And you can specify how much you'd like to rotate an entity. So let's go ahead and make this asynchronous. I'm going to delete this command. Doesn't need it. I'm going to make this, we're going to rotate it by 180 degrees. Uses delta values, means you're changing it by that amount, not to that amount. So let's also change the roll on it. Why not? This will look horrifying. Okay, so we got that. That's good. So now if I test play and move my character over, you'll see there's a smaller water wheel moving and a bigger one. You'll see the big one is having that rotation. It's rotated around the z-axis as well as the y-axis. Pretty cool. Gives you some options. This is only going to be for 3D models, so this doesn't affect anything like a billboard, really, for that matter. But if you have a cross, complex cardinal cross, or a flat X, Y, or Z plane entity or rendering, you'll get it there. Pretty cool. We also got variable manipulators. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but just haven't gotten around to. I was hesitant to call them functions because that would be very confusing, just with what we have. So, with that being said, I'm going to show you some variable manipulation real quick. So, variable manipulators allow you to do some sort of calculation, right? So I'm going to go ahead and set the hero count, just this sort of variable, to 5, right? And I'm going to say, I want to use that variable, and I want to manipulate it by finding, let's exponent, right? I want the exponent to be not to the 10th power. Let's raise it to the 3rd power. So 5 times 5 is 25, and then 25 times 5 is then going to be 125. So if I go ahead and go here and say variable 0 to show what I have, that should spout out 125, because I'm raising this value here, 5, to the 3rd power, or cubing it, 5 cubed. You'll see that there are a number of different manipulators here. There are 4 string ones, so you can do a substring to get a piece of a string. You can uppercase, a lowercase string, and you can also do a replace on a string. Everything else is going to be a mathematical function, and you'll see things like arcsine, sine, all that stuff. You can specify your input in radians or degrees. And in this case, it's actually just going to end up overwriting the target, right? So with that said, let's go back to our exponent, and we're going to raise it to the 3rd power. I'm going to run that. And when I talk to this entity, we should see a glorious 125 if I've done my math correct. 125. There it is. Bert, you're welcome. I know how much you love math. Another update for RPGArchitect in April has been the improvement of usability in the map editor. So we've gone from doodad assist mode, notice it still has the same shortcut, to being object grid assist mode. When this is turned on, everything behaves how you're used to. Move it around, cool. Now, if we turn that off, you have free-form ability to move it around wherever you want in the grid. Before, vehicles were not super usable. You couldn't paste them, you couldn't move them. But now, usability has been improved on this so that you can move them wherever you so desire. I'm going to turn my grid assist back on, and there we go. I hope that is helpful for a number of you. For our final update, I've finally done it. Bert, Jason, this one's for you. I've added the button. When you close, this used to just say yes and no. If you want to exit, yes or no. Now you can choose yes, you want to exit, you can save and exit, or cancel. So there are 3 buttons here now. So you can do basically both operations at the same time.